I just want to say there was a lot of comments on YouTube about certain people talking about the debate that what we had. We aren't all experts at what we're talking about. I think we like to debate and come together and have our opinions shared and debated and have them all put across. So if you think you're an expert and you want to come onto the debates, holler at me, holler at Robin, we'll bring you in and we'll bring you in to have a nice debate with all of us. Simple.
Alright, so Piers Morgan wrote an article on the N-word. If blacks want it to die, then they'll have to kill it themselves. Does anyone actually agree with him?
To be honest, okay, I'm just going to put this out there. I personally do not like the word. I really just strongly dislike it. I don't think it needs to be used. In songs, it's irrelevant. You can use any other word. Brother, it just does not mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. But part of me is like, why does everyone put so much power in a word? And I understand it has history and I understand its meaning, etc. But a lot of people put too much power in the word. That's how I'm saying my point. That's what I think.
Have you ever sung a lyric with that word in it and sung it back to yourself? So if that word is being, if the N-word is being used within, say, a rap song, for example.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying I don't use it.
Are you singing back that rap song with that word in?
I'm not saying I don't use it, but as in I wouldn't be like, yo, Chloe, what's up, my nigga? Like, just even saying that now just sounds dumb to me. But if it's in a song, like sometimes like in a club and you're like, oh, you're singing a song, like, and then you realise and you're like, okay. So it doesn't mean, just because I dislike the word doesn't mean I'm not going to use it at all. But if it's in a song, okay, it's in a song. But I would never use it in a normal conversation.
It just comes as habit when it's in a song because you just know the lyric.
I don't particularly like the N-word. I don't use it in normal conversations with our friends. But I think too many people put so much power in the word, and I think it's just not needed. It's just a word. Get over it.
See, I've never used it intentionally.
Yeah. You see, in this country, yeah, when I grew up, black people never used that word. Like, it wasn't a common word that people used to use, other than if you were repeating a rap song. I don't know, it's like a new school thing.
Yeah.
You probably testimony.
Yeah, like
I don't
mofo was the word that we used.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't something, it's something that we've copied from America, and I don't know. But in regards to Piers Morgan, I feel like the sentiment of what he was saying was essentially right. It's a negative word, and in order for it not to be used, it's a responsibility of not even black people, black American people. But
not everyone.
I think
everyone.
But it's more so an issue coming out of black America. But people in Africa, if they're using that word in Africa to each other, I can guarantee it's because they're copying American culture. I doubt it's something that black people use all over the world unless they're seeing it as something that they're getting from American culture. The issue is that Piers Morgan doesn't really have a right to tell people what they should and shouldn't say.
But he didn't say what he should. He didn't say what his opinion was, he not?
The thing is, in the article, there's an air of white privilege.
That's like that man who he is.
Which is exactly because of who he is. And he did it for the Daily Mail, the most racist publication ever.
Publication within media industry, full stop. But I'm saying, if it wasn't Piers Morgan who done that, let's say for example, hypothetically speaking,
I don't think anyone would have had a
okay. What about a black media commentator? I don't know, Trevor McDonald. If he was to write that,
and told him to stop preaching.
Stop preaching.
That's the thing. It's a black person.
When it's Piers Morgan, somebody who is so like arrogant in his own right,
he's just controversial.
And he's very condescending when he speaks.
But you see what the problem
He's very patronising anyway. You don't really know.
For me, the problem is he jumps on every single issue when it comes out. So like gun laws in America, he's got a massive issue with that. Abortion in America,
but he's got issues. Of course.
I think the biggest issue that we have to realise is the publication in which the journalist / television host, who isn't really a television host no more, Piers Morgan, was asked to write for, the Daily Mail. In my opinion, it should be called the Daily Joke, because all they do is reinforce racial stereotypes. All they do is create society stigma within massive populations. Like, they're not really a credible newspaper, in my opinion, especially their online department. So bringing it back to the point where he's talking about the N-word and how we need to advocate it and make sure that black people need to stop saying it. Now, I'm not black, I'm Asian, and it annoys me when Asian people use the P word, the 4-letter P word, if you don't know what I'm talking about, with each other and say, oh, my P word, yeah, what's going on, my P word? And it allows people who aren't of that race to feel like it's acceptable to use that word.
He's the wrong person to be talking about it. It's something, nobody can help black people with black issues other than black people.
Not his problem.
Do you get what I'm saying? So it's like when someone says, oh, look at them niggas shooting each other. someone should do something about that. We should do something about it. It's our responsibility to either decide. No, it's not society.
That's what he's saying.
I agree to an extent.
But that's what he's saying though.
However, if she's
to say how we should deal with that.
He's saying
who will?
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you're that part.
No, we have been. But he's saying it.
He's saying if we stop using
So
it.
he's not going to start the seed. You think I'm going to listen to Piers Morgan? Oh, Piers Morgan said do it, so no more Negroes.
What you're saying is right, but at the same time, unless you're delusional, you are going to understand that if you live in the Western world, it's favourable to white people. Like inherently, like we live in an institutionally racist society where we can all be cool and chill and talk or whatever, but essentially it's still set up where the powers that be do not favour black people. So there's always an extra hump for black people than there are white people. So to a certain extent, and it's a controversial thing to say, but it takes for white people to educate themselves and put themselves in a position of an institution and a privilege that they already have to actually make an attempt at tearing down.
I loved A.Dot's shutdown. I loved her response. Her response was very eloquent, very educated, very informed. I love the fact that John Legend put him in his place. Piers Morgan, I can watch you, you're entertaining, but you are very arrogant, very cocky. Sometimes you come across pompous. In fact, all the time you come across very pompous. The point is, you had a point. You did, but you didn't communicate it very well. But I suppose it is the Daily Mail. You communicated it in the way that your audience or the Daily Mail audience can, comprehend appropriately.
Let me show you where you're going wrong there. In the sense to say that Piers Morgan is doing an attempt to help us.
No, I'm not saying Piers Morgan. I'm just talking about like general. I don't think.
But
Piers
nobody
Morgan
cares whether like people start putting bans on black people. You can't be racist to each other no more.
No, you're missing my point.
Piers Morgan
is not the Piers Morgan is not the person to say that because I don't believe he genuinely has a vested interest.
Russell Brand.
But it's not just for black people. It's not just for black people.
For ordinary people, he has invested interest within them. 100%.
He wrote that book.
It's surprising. Like for me, I'm just.
We are responsible for ourselves.
No, I think that's where you're wrong. It's like the village raises the children. It's not a we are.
Village.
It's the society. Know what I'm saying?
The thing
it's
is,
society.
we are in the same village.
Exactly, and we all have to take responsibility.
Me and you on this level can talk. Piers Morgan, no one can talk from the top and say, I've decided that it's so bad, and it don't matter who says it.
Why doesn't Piers concentrate on the way black people are portrayed in the media? Why don't he assist with that instead of trying to own a problem that is not relative to him?
It's not relative. That I agree with.
It's not acceptable to use that word. I look through my YouTube comments on my videos and that's all I see. The 4-letter P word. P-A-K-I everywhere. And it's, for me, I laugh because it's just, I find it a joke, but in all seriousness of the situation, it's not cool one bit at all.
Because this is what I mean about white people understanding their privilege and trying to do something
and using it in the right way.
To use that in a positive way. You're right, Piers Morgan can make a positive difference. That article is not making a positive difference, but he actually is in the power. And if white people educated themselves in a way where they understood what their privilege meant and understood what that privilege can do in order to actually make steps towards equality.
Snips. I feel like that's a terrible place to start. I feel like it's a terrible place to start. If you want to start at dealing with some black people problems, then you start at the poverty. You start at the schooling. 100%. You start at the hospital.
This is exactly what I'm talking about.
From the kids. You start talking about, man, our problem as black people isn't that we call each other nigger. That ain't our problem.
Of course not.
That shit's some fun. Do you get what I'm saying? That is not the problem that we have. It's just like a lot of people will be like out here debating saying, religion is our problem. What religion? That's not our problem. Our problem is our psyche. And if you're saying that word, you're saying the word that we're using is not the problem. It's how we deal with one another. And only we can deal with how we deal with one another.
I understand how offensive it is, but in the English language there's loads of words that are offensive and no one has put a sanction on them. Everybody has the ability to use that word. It's just how you use it and who you use it to, why we have a social problem with it. I don't think, as a black person myself and what I've seen in my culture or my society or nationalities like Jamaica, Africa, America, this word is not a problem amongst us. It's not why we have gang members. It's not the reason why we're poor. None of that stuff. Words don't hold you back. If you get home after going to university and you see your friends and you say, you know, what up my nigga, red or whatever now, yeah, that's not a big huge issue. And for Piers Morgan to be the voice of reason, I just don't think it's appropriate. I just don't think it's something that is a big issue. If you want to talk about something, talk about gang violence, talk about, you know, diseases that are rife in these third world countries. Talk about that, not the N-word. It's not important.
It is an element though, because the word
in America
means
is
slave.
marginalization and poverty. If you actually look at the root of the majority of social problems, yeah, whether they be race related or class related, it's marginalization and poverty. So I believe that white people or people that are in a position to make changes and to take away those barriers that are marginalizing people and are putting people in an institution where it's constant poverty.
But the word, the N-word is part of it. It's not all of it. It's not the majority of it. But the word means slave. Okay. And if you are constantly referring to yourself or your brother or your brethren as a slave,
no, but that's the wrong context.
But it's the wrong context. It's the wrong context.
Let me ask you a question.
It's the meaning of the word.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think music, rap, hip hop, whatever genre it is, do you think that has desensitized the whole issue regarding the N-word?
It never was sensitive.
Alright, let me give you an example.
Wait, no, let me give you the history. No, let me give you the history, yeah? When American slaves, because it's really used amongst American slaves, when they were referring to one another, it is almost near enough, very closely, the same way we use it today. So they'll be like, oh, a nigga ain't got a chance in hell. It was the way they received, but
because
it was more negative there.
They were told that. That wasn't. That wasn't a word that they referred to
those slaves,
themselves.
Children, now refer to each other in that, but not in that context.
But that was projected on them. That wasn't their.
But words have no meaning. What man gives
They
them.
didn't create that word themselves though. That wasn't. They were not like, oh, I'm just gonna suddenly call you nigga. They learned it from someone.
That's what I'm trying to say. That was projected onto them.
Let me ask you something. Do you think hip hop, yeah, as a culture and a form of music, is one of the biggest influences on Black America?
Yeah.
It's the biggest influence on the world.
Okay, but especially Black America is a huge influence, right?
Yeah.
So who's controlling what hip hop music gets out there to Black America?
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, they could ban it.
White people,
There we go.
right? No, I'm not saying they should ban it. I'm not saying they should ban it. But it's essentially.
No, but if they did, no one would sell more records.
No, but listen to me. It's rich white people that are controlling the flow of what hip hop gets pushed out there.
Yeah, you get it. Yeah.
Those same rich white people that have the power to dictate what hip hop gets pushed out there, why are they pushing Meek Mills and they're not pushing Talib Kweli? I basically think essentially what Piers Morgan was saying is not necessarily a bad thing. I think wanting to eradicate a word that is rooted in oppression and slavery can never be a negative thing. I think the overall issue is the fact that the black community in America have much bigger issues to deal with than the use of a single word. I feel like someone in Piers Morgan's position should be looking more to, if he really wants to essentially, as he said, help the cause. I think there's a lot greater good he can do in his position. For starters, the media portrayal of black people in America is still disgraceful. For Piers Morgan to be somebody who is a quite powerful figure within the media, he could possibly try and attack that more than just focusing on the usage of a word, which in actual fact a lot of black people don't see as being a major issue within the black community. And I think it's inherent of Piers Morgan's white privilege to believe that he even should have an opinion on the matter. Or why are they not pushing black?
I understand where you're coming from, but Lil Wayne wants to use the word and they ain't gonna stop him. If someone says that he's gonna be, it's almost an offense now. Oh, you want me to stop you? You gave me the word, and now I'm using it. You want me to stop? You're still referring to me on a slave master tip, telling me what and what I can do. If I want to use the word, now I'm gonna use the word. And it is not troubling the kids. It is not our problem. In society, that word is not our problem.
He's walking around saying that word. What do you mean it's not troubling the kids?
If he's educated, I'm educated on the word to the max.
So why
even the words where man might say, oh, it's a Sudanese word used for kings, nigga, or it's a word used in the Bible for black. I'm completely clued up on the word for anyone wants to call me an idiot. I'm clued up on the word, so when I'm using it in the context of how my friends understand it. My friends don't say, oh, why are you calling me a slave? He knows when I say, yo.
If a white person said that to you and had the same understanding of the word, we're still going to have an issue with that, no?
Yeah, do you know why? Because I'm saying, in the context when you use that word to me, I know by somebody of your ethnic background, you should know better than using that word to me.
Do we need to get rid of the N-word? I think people need to be conscious of the N-word. I know sometimes because it's used so universally. It's a flip of the tongue, but a word that has so much power in terms of in law even. I think we need to manage the way that it is used, and I think that black people do need to take ownership of it and take part in the management of that. And if that means eradicating a really negative word to describe someone with a certain colour of skin, and it means that it's going to have an effect on what they can go on to do in society, then yeah, we need to get rid of it.
It's an endearing word. You're right. But this is my point. The fact, and this is because I'm not
gonna take it from me. It's mine.
Basil was talking.
We ain't
about
got nothing. We haven't got Africa, so we're gonna have the word.
You want that word?
I want a word.
No, I understand that.
I want everything you want to take back.
You're right to do that, but I'm saying the fact that, because when I hear people justify, oh, but the word is a positive word, blah blah blah. The fact that there is still the fact that there is still an issue, with who uses the word suggests that there is still a negative context.
Why have you got this problem? Where do you find the problem?
Let me say something.
Do you have a problem with the word?
I don't have a problem with the word.
So who's got the problem?
In the right context. However, but Piers said in the article, and this is what I didn't like, he said that the reason why we use it is because white people cannot use it. That's not the reason why we use it. And the fact that he has that opinion, where do you get that information from? You don't have the right to speak on why and how we use it. Because you're not
my thing is, don't use a word unless you understand it. That's the point.
That's fine. That's a pleasant choice.
That's why she asked me if my kid goes around it. My kid is going to be very educated.
Can I just spell a myth? Because we've got a camera here. Can I just spell a myth? I saw so much talk on Twitter about this, about white people want to use the word, white people either say it for this or for this. Can I just dispel a myth right now, yeah? There is a percentage of white people, a small percentage that want to use that word as a derogatory word to insult black people, and there's another small percentage on the other side that want to use that word as a way to be down and to be accepted by black people. There's a big fucking chunk in the middle that have actually no interest in using that word.
But you know what? Your interest they have?
What?
Which is the politics of it. But you use the word, and if I was to do the same thing, which I don't want to do, because I think the word's disgusting, I think it's terrible. When they say that, but so you shouldn't use it.
Yeah.
If you don't want me to,
it's limited.
But I just think the word's limited. I think there's a lot of people, myself included, I don't care. If you choose to
exactly, no one should care. If you can't use it, then that's it. If your friend's allowed to use it within your friends.
So obviously they dimmed me out of this debate, so I don't know what was said. I'm going to watch it back. But what I will say about the Piers Morgan thing is that his article didn't offend me at all. I did think that it was an overly ambitious attempt to try and eliminate the word from everybody's vocabulary. It's not going to happen. He also only talked about a fraction of the issue of why this word exists and why it is the way that it is. But at the same time, what he did say, that little fraction that he did say, was true. I hate the word, to be honest. To be fair, I don't even sing My Hitter in the dance. I just throw my hands up and do that West Coast shit. But at the same time, yeah, it was only a small fraction of what he was talking about, but it didn't offend me.
You're mad.
No, surely you should practice what you preach. So if you're doing something right, it doesn't make sense.
I feel you should say we all shouldn't use it. It's either we shouldn't use it or we do use it. I think you shouldn't be like you can't pick and choose. It's like saying you can do this but you can't do that. And the fact is, if you're using the N-word, if you're using it as a black person, you're using that word. I feel to some extent you have if that is a derogatory word, I believe, and if you're using it towards yourself, and you can't then turn around and tell an Asian person, a white person, a Polish person not to use that word. No, I wasn't offended by the article. I think if people say that Piers Morgan shouldn't have said it because he's white and this, that and the other, but it doesn't make sense because obviously he has an entitlement to say that word, and to be honest, white men rule the world. So if anyone's gonna really change it, it's probably gonna start from a white man.
You get in, let me tell you a scenario. You get into a situation, right? Yeah, you get into a situation, you're having road rage or what have you not. Two cars pull up, white driver, black driver. White driver starts hurling abuse, uses the N-word. I can call the police and they can come down and deal with that person in a criminal context because they used that word. Yeah, so there is power in that word, which is why we need to use that word.
People are allowed to be racist. When I'm referring to my own people, I'm not trying to be racist.
The one thing I will say, sorry, can I just say this? The one thing I will say is that, alright, so I grew up on an era of hip hop where white people who were into hip hop whether they wanted to or not, had an understanding of why that word wasn't acceptable. When you grew up on Brand Nubian and Tribe Called Quest and De La Soul, you understood that. Nowadays, white people who grew up on Kanye West and Jay-Z, and Kanye West is at the concert saying to everybody, this is the night that you can say it, and singing lyrics and egging on the whole crowd to say it. I'm not saying it's right that white people then go and say it, but you can't be fucking surprised when the hero to white people of black culture, Kanye West, is telling you go ahead and say it. As much as it reeked of white privilege and was quite a patronizingly written article, I still don't think it necessarily came from a bad place. What I find more concerning is the fact that I've seen black people write similar articles and nobody listened. Nobody, you know, people would say they were preaching or they, you know, what they were saying was irrelevant. So it does pose the question, in order to help essentially black issues in America, is it the responsibility of just black people in America, or should white people take a responsibility to understand that the doings of their ancestors have essentially led black people into the position that they're currently in, and therefore people should enlighten themselves to a point where they can actually accept their privilege and help to tear down some of the restrictions that are put in place in what is essentially a racist infrastructure. You can't be surprised when you some 15-year-old white girls
some definition of it as well.
I'm not saying it's right.
The word nigger, that doesn't mean slave. It's a derogatory term used for black people.
Okay,
don't actually mean slave.
Okay, it doesn't mean slave, but it is a very negative word, and it was used
when used by slave owners to describe
what you're like. Yeah, so you're worth nothing. Yeah. You're ugly. I own you. Yeah. You have no power. Yeah. You are you're nothing. You're worthless. Okay. That's what it means. So I'm saying slave in a very general
But the
way.
word's language is how it goes. Yeah, is words are only based on context. So the word has no
You can't
power.
sit in an English exam and use words like words out of context and say, well, actually, this is how I meant it. I'm using that word because
you can.
No, you can't say.
Writing a novel
that
and
jacket
you explain in the novel.
Not in an exam, you can't.
Yeah.
Oh, that's that. You know, I'm writing
Who wrote that exam novel?
But what I'm saying is, you wouldn't get good grades.
What I'm saying.
I can't say, oh yeah, that jacket was cold.
This is to write that in an exam. If you put in quotations, that's what he said.
Nah, but I get graded lower.
No, if you use that and you say after, if you use that after and you said this is a word he used to describe, if you understand,
Western
if you get the context,
is favoured to help black people excel.
It's not to help make anyone excel other than the institution is for.
It's a system. It's a system. It's a game you can play and you can win in it at the end of the day.
But I feel, okay, black people are marginalised, yes, and we do need to bigger and better ourselves continuously. Are we going to get there by using the N-word? No, I do not believe we're not. We are. Are we going to better ourselves? Are we
not going to better ourselves if we stop using it? It doesn't matter whether we use it or not. Like, it's irrelevant.
Would you say
no? Because it's the context in which you would use it.
Listen, if you run your own company, and you are the director of your own company, you can talk how the hell you want.
I didn't say if you was the director. I said if you went to an interview, would you say that?
You mean the slave master?
No. Yeah, but not everyone's a director.
I'm saying if you want to be independent, if you want to be independent,
using a word or not using a word.
if you want to be independent, yeah, and you go to and say I'm gonna work for a company. If I work for a company and a young black boy comes in and he says, "Yo, wagwan, my nigga," I'm probably not gonna employ him. Do you know why? Because initially I would assume there's some ignorance behind that. This is a word that we don't use formally. It's used informally. Ain't nobody going around saying, "Hi, grandma, my nigga." We're not stupid. We know that's not a word to use in that context. But amongst friends and in music, we use the word. Even if we don't, we might use other words that are not formally used, like, "Oh, he's a dickhead." Ed Sheeran could do that. Ain't nobody complaining. He could make a music where he said, and on the radio they cut it out, but in the song, he used the word dickhead. I'm
going to go out on a limb and say white people use the word cunt just as much as black people use the N-word. So and no one has an issue.
Exactly.
And it's probably
because somebody doesn't. It's something it's something silly, that we own, that was given to us by someone we didn't like at a particular time in history, and now there's a group of people which are in the middle who find it a double standard. But if we can't use it, why should you use it? Why is it your problem?
You're mad because you want to use it. Are you mad?
No, they don't. No, they don't want to use it. They don't want you to use it.
Yeah, but this is what people need to understand. That's inherent white privilege to feel like, hold on, how dare there be something that you can do that I can't do? Because historically, I've always told you what to do. So
and
how
now
dare
this
you?
is it again.
So how dare you have something which you're allowed to do that I can't do? That's all it is. That's all it is. There should be no reason why a white person feels like they want to use that word. The only time I've ever heard it and understood it, coming from a white person, yeah, when I lived in New York, yeah, and you hear white people that grew up in the projects talk, yeah, I'm not saying it's right, but you know, in the same way, if you grew up in London, the word bruv will run off your tongue without you even thinking about it. When I hear how people in America talk, black, Puerto Rican, whatever, if you have a white person that's grown up in the hood with those people and it rolls off their tongue, I'm not saying it's right, but I could literally, listening to the way people talk, I can understand how that shit could happen. Because it's literally almost like every second word.
The influence of the society.
Why is it okay for those white people to do it and not normal white people?
I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying if you told me not to say bruv, yeah, I would struggle because I say it without thinking.
But my point is there's not
so are you trying to say that they're trying to use that word in that same context?
I'm saying when you meet white people that grew up in the hood,
yeah, and that's all they've been ingrained in within that society.
Do you know
what I liked about it? I like the way John Legend and A-Dot went, shut up, Piers. I love that. Shut
John
him
Legend
down
and him
so
had a
nicely.
proper one-on-one debate about it, and he was being mad sarcastic.
So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that.
Why are we resulting in Piers Morgan giving us the whole solution for racism?
Exactly.
It's not a
don't care. That's what I'm trying to say. It's a situation. If we was killing each other over this word, then you know we'd have to get together as a community because we are a community. Every time it comes to this is how I feel like it. Every time it comes to black people, the whole world got to be involved. Do you understand what I mean? Like, oh, we all need to be a community now. But when the Jewish are together, it's the Jewish. When the Muslims together, it's the Muslims. When it's the Pakistanis, they have their community and no one else is involved. No one comes in and deliberates.
He made a point
when
about
it's us, it has to be, oh, we have to take a part in it, and we have to take a part. Let us deal with the problem. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna.
Why don't they take a part in something more detrimental?
Gang member.
Exactly.
Gang violence.
Why not talk about that? Why not focus on things
Poverty.
that are making mothers lose sons every day? Why not that? Why you got to dip in?
That's why.
That's my point. You just want to be talking about something.